So I'm a breathwork facilitator. I use breathwork as a tool to help people get outside of the programming that they received when they were really young. I mean, there is hard science that proves that doing breathwork techniques and practices before you have any sort of a meeting with another human being or a group of human beings changes the nature of that meeting completely. The true measure of success is joy.
Sweaty goal. Sweaty goal. Here we are.
There's Mark. Welcome.
Well.
I just get started. Why not?
Why not dive right in? Robert, it's such a pleasure to be here. I mean, what a road, what a journey we've been on to end up right here.
I know. A random chance meeting in Colorado.
Yeah. You never know who you're
3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago.
And we've kept in touch randomly. And most recently, you've been helping me do breath work.
Yeah.
When I can't do it and I can't get other facilitators to help. And
absolutely love it.
The feedback is excellent. And now you're in Nashville.
You got a good group of people. Here I am in Nashville.
I get you talked into get on an airplane and come and visit.
So good. So good. And I'm glad. Thank you. It was just such a brilliant idea. And it's funny how things work out because, I had other plans that kind of just disappeared. And then we happened to talk and you said, hey, let's come on out to Nashville. Let's go. Let's hang out.
Let's figure out how we can create and make things together. And so tell me, what do you do for our audience that is like wondering, what does Nurse Mark mean? What is that all about?
Wow. Boy, that is a loaded question. Somebody asked me that the other day. What do you do? Who are you? Introduce yourself. And I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Well, I'll say some of the things that I do, right? Breath work. We talked about that. So I'm a breathwork facilitator. I use breathwork as a tool to help people get outside of the programming that they received when they were really young. That's really primarily what my coaching is about, is to get people to that root story and stories, because they're multiple, that really run their day-to-day lives and they have no idea. So sometimes it's a difficult prospect for me to say, hey, listen, you've got a problem that you don't even know about. Like it's not even in your awareness, but trust me, I can help free you from that. And what's on the other side is a life of complete, utter choice, your choice. Yeah.
Well, when did you discover breath work?
Man, I was exposed to breath work way back in 1998 when I studied to be a yoga instructor. And this was early on in like the yoga movement in the United States. And as part of the yogic tradition, right, they have pranayama. So pranayama is the use of breath to facilitate different states of consciousness. During meditation, during yoga practices, they use different breathing techniques. And that was my first foray into something other than just automatic breathing, right? Yeah.
When did you start using it as a daily practice for yourself, or was it a rediscovery?
It was a rediscovery because, when I was in the yoga community and teaching and deep in that tradition, a daily practice for sure. I was doing some sort of breath work on a daily practice. But like anything in my life, it has a shelf life, and I dip in all the way as far as I can go, and then I dip out and I'm on to something new. So it's just been this beautiful journey, really. And so 2019 is when breath work came back into my life in a very different way.
How so?
It wasn't pranayama. It wasn't yogic based. It was more along the lines of rebirthing breath work, which was, the beginning of the 70s, I think, is when rebirthing breath work and holotropic breath work, which Stan and Christina Groff came up with, which is a fascinating story in and of itself. But those two modalities sort of cropped up in the 70s, and they're for me, they're psychedelic modalities.
Right.
And they're a psychedelic experience. They shut off the conscious mind and allow the subconscious to open up. And that's the treasure trove of, that's where it all is.
Yeah, that's where all the answers are.
That's where all the answers are.
Yeah.
And you have all the answers. So that's the beauty of what I do, is working with people. I'm not giving them any answers. I'm just opening the door for them to be able to ask the questions, and they have the answers that are. And I know
we kind of in the same community in EO, and you have these, people that are, a lot of people discovering now some psychedelic experiences, but the breath work is certainly a modality that is anyone can do, anyone can benefit from.
Absolutely.
But still, there's so many people that I meet that just do not know about it.
No.
Don't even, when I say the word, they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm just wondering, what do you think the trajectory could be for breath work? What will it take to have more people really understand? I
think we're going to reach a tipping point. Like, I used yoga as an example of, back in 1998, yoga in the United States wasn't huge. I mean, there were studios, but they were not a lot. And now, yoga is like mainstream, right? If you mention yoga, everybody knows about yoga or some form of it, right? I think that breath work is on that same track where it will reach that tipping point where everybody will say, oh yeah, breath work, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
We do it before a meeting. I mean, my goal is that in every organization and any time people get together in groups of one or more, they do a breath work before they actually interact with each other. How magic would that be?
Right.
That would.
And I think it starts with leaders and organizations demanding that we take 5 minutes to breathe before we have a meeting.
Somebody's got to lead.
And why would an owner of a company make a decision to breathe for 5 minutes before? What would the answer be?
Oh my gosh. Well, just read the science. I mean, there is hard science that proves that doing breath work techniques and practices before you have any sort of a meeting with another human being or a group of human beings changes the nature of that meeting completely, because you go from a sympathetic nervous response, which is the fight or flight, which is what most of the time we're in when we're in these environments, right? Mm-hmm. We're always on our game, so to speak. And physiologically, when you do that breath work, it just pulls you down into a parasympathetic response, which is the rest and relax and digest response, which, when you think about it, if you're in fight or flight, you're in a different perspective. Like the way you think about things, the way that you receive information from outside of you is very different than when you're in a rest and relax mode. Right. So when you get into that mode and you're in that group environment, I mean, statistically, I think it's 35% more effective meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers, there are, there's science behind it.
And you got to think about when you have a meeting where people are physically going to a place.
Yeah.
They're in traffic.
Yeah.
They're going to a strange spot.
They are.
And naturally, the human body is being ready for danger. Always. Even though it's a new environment, am I safe in this environment? It may take a little while for your body to, am I safe? Am I really safe?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to a meeting where maybe you have to defend yourself or you have to advocate for yourself.
I mean, how many times do you drive to a meeting and you're thinking about what's going to happen at that meeting? You're already playing it in your head.
Yeah.
How you're going to defend yourself. What if somebody says this? What am I going to say? Like, you rehearse it in your head well before the time you actually get to the meeting.
Yeah.
So getting that out of play before you start the meeting just level sets the playing field and everybody's on the same page. It's this phenomenon of coherence.
Yeah.
Physiologically, we come into coherence where our heart rate variability lines up more closely, and we are in a different space altogether.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. If we can breathe together, then we can make decisions together.
Absolutely.
And it just gets us in a synergistic frequency so we can collaborate, we can be more creative. And especially, talk a little bit about creativity. What's possible with some of the types of breath that you can do to help someone get into more of the creation state? Man. And the difference between the two for people that may not know.
The difference between what the
survival state versus
I mean, when you're in fight or flight and that sympathetic nervous system is activated, its only job is to keep you alert and aware of potential danger. Like, you're going to either fight or you're going to flee. So you're always, your focus is primarily on that. So all of your resources, all of your mental resources are focused to that end. When you get out of that and you're in rest and relax mode, you're in a much different space where the rest, your brain isn't focused just on that fight or flight. You're in this space of, okay, now what else is around me? What else? You're much more aware of your surroundings and cues with people, right? And creativity comes from that, doesn't it?
And too, like when you're in that state of, it's fear. At the end of the day, it's simple fear. And fear could be fear of not having enough money, have enough resources. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen if you're right? And then to move into that state where like, oh, I have everything I need. Yeah. Now I can start thinking, okay, what do I want? Like, what is this desire? Oh, I could do this or I could do that. Like, you feel safe enough to start playing around with creativity. Or
I tell people what you and I do is we bring you the opportunity to live in a life of infinite possibility. Yeah. I mean, all of the great teachers have talked about that, right? And all the great religious and spiritual traditions talk about infinite possibility in the present moment. And so getting out of your head and into right here, right now, that's where infinite possibilities are. Yeah. And those fears, fear, I heard it defined once as false evidence appearing real. Yeah. And that has stuck with me for years, because for me, that's what it is. It's just false evidence. It's just the old programs that you were given. The money story, I laugh at people I coach who are like panic stricken. They don't have enough money and they have millions in the bank. Like there's no worries, right? From an outsider's perspective, but to them, they just don't have enough. Now that might be theirs. It may be a generation before, because what we know now is that we inherit stories from previous generations, experiences that were so meaningful for that generation in that moment, whether it was a struggle of not having enough, that gets handed down in the DNA. And you may have all of the money in the world, but if you've got that program running in the background that you had nothing to do, you inherited, you're going to have these feelings of never having enough.
Well, I think it's really important to outline too, what does that mean for a leader leading in scarcity, leading in fear? Yeah. That leader.
I'm a perfect example of that. Yeah. I led from that. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How did that show up with your team?
It was a double-edged sword because, being an entrepreneur, I have this side of me that's not risk averse. Like, I'm going to roll the dice and I'm going to give it hell. But on the other side was the money story of, oh shit, you just don't have enough. We're never going to have enough. And so we'd roll the dice and we'd try something, and then there'd be this pullback because, oh, well, you know what? We can't go all the way because, what if we spend this money and it doesn't work out? We better stop. So it was like the start-stop experience for everyone, right? And after a while, people are like, here's another great idea. We're going to get halfway down the road and we're not going to finish. Yeah. Well,
and that also shows up in, Jack Daly, who is a sales coach, and, he's
great guy.
He wrote Hyper Sales Growth.
Yeah.
one of the things he says his number one rule for an owner is the owner cannot be leader of the sales team, cannot manage the sales team, because entrepreneurs go through these cycles of fear and creativity, and if you're caught in the scarcity mindset and you got payroll on Friday, it's Monday, and you're having your sales meeting, your attitude is very different, because if I don't have sales,
right?
Talking to your sales team, if you guys don't make your sales, like, he may not say it verbally that, hey, we're not going to make payroll,
but that energy is in play. Yeah. And everybody feels it. You're right. It's a different perspective, and it's a different, it's sabotage. Really.
Yeah. And I think all of us have to accept the fact that we go through these levels, and depending on what time of day it is, if that scarcity mindset is happening at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, it's going to allow me to want to drink.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
it's uncomfortable,
or you get a little bit of discomfort. Maybe it's a vape pen. It could be porn. It could be your phone. It could be just a little distraction.
Yeah.
Instead of like thinking of another modality that could take 5 minutes of your energy to shift that. And, even just the act of 5 minutes of breathing to say, you know what, I'm safe, completely safe.
Yeah.
And why is that showing up for me? Why am I having this anxiety? What was the trigger that would make me trip over to that?
Right.
Just having enough time. If I just started breathing and then go, okay, let's go take 30 seconds back before the feeling. Okay. Before, when it was here, was it here? Was it here? Was it an email?
Yeah.
Was it a person? Because sometimes people trigger us into like these fear responses, or even family can do it.
Yeah. Oh, families.
I got certain people call me and I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
Oh yeah. 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 And from the work that I've been involved in and done over the years, it always ends up being the triggers are not out there, they're in here. So if I get triggered, then I got to start looking at me and say, okay, what is it in that behavior or that incident that caused me to feel this visceral emotional response to it? And it's always in me. It's got nothing to do with the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of speaking.
I do.
And talk a little bit about what you do in your speaking and how you combine the two.
I combine a breathwork experience. What I've been doing for the last few years is a keynote called Red Pill, Blue Pill. And it's a riff on The Matrix, one of my favorite movies. And it really is, it's a discussion about how we become who we are and how we become programmed. And then I give myself as an example of the programming. Like, I tell stories from my life, and it's been crazy. Suicidal 3 times, treatment resistant depression my whole life, lots of success as an entrepreneur, done a million different things, in at the end of the day, it was breath work and other modalities that cured for me that treatment resistant depression. And if folks don't know what that is, 30% of people who are clinically diagnosed with depression have a form that's called treatment resistant. And that means just what it is, treatment resistant. Medications don't work. We try every intervention. For me, I look at my depression now as one of the greatest gifts that I ever received in my life. And as I said, suicidal 3 times. I've been on the other side of the nurse's desk. I am a nurse, and I happen to be a psychiatric nurse. So for me, when I work as a nurse in an acute care environment, right? Lockdown units. People are coming in with no shoelaces and no belt. I've been on the other side for a weekend stay. And it was a pivotal moment in my life. I mean, it moved me in a completely different direction. And all of these things have occurred in my life exactly as they should. And the depression, being treatment resistant, forced me to go down a lot of different avenues, a lot of different rabbit holes to figure out what was going to work. And, you know, one of the things that worked really well in kind of getting rid of some of the symptoms of the depression, meditation. And I would be the first one to say, you know, I'll never be able to do meditation because I have ADD, right? So of course I'm not going to be able to sit still long enough. And I love it when people tell me that. And I'm like, yeah, welcome. Everybody who meditates has that racing thoughts, that distraction. And that's why it's a practice, right? So that was sort of a beginning, but breath work for sure, 100% is the modality that got rid of, physically got rid of the things that the stories and the things that I had been working on with other modalities and other tools. Breath work got rid of it because it's a physical, you know, respiration, respiriting, expiration, dying to the old self. I mean, for me, it's a very metaphysical process. For other people, it can be a very beautiful physical tool where, like you say, we're going to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Yeah. But for me, it can be a spiritual journey.
Yeah. I think it's really profound that had the pill work, a pill, you know, to kind of mute.
Yeah.
And this is what I've heard from many people of what antidepressants really do. They don't just, you know, mute the lows, they mute the highs. And so you're left with this middle experience, and you don't have the
it's one of the number one complaints when people start any of the SSRIs, you know, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Then probably the number one complaint is, I just feel numb.
Yeah. And you lose all range.
Numb.
Yeah. I mean, there's these ecstatic highs that are ecstatic and fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And then, you know, part of the you're going to have some lows, but, you know, learning that, and this is why I think breath is so amazing, is if you move your body, you can get out of an anxiety state. Absolutely. You can shake your body in a state. You can breathe in a rhythm and get out of state. You can run and get out of state. You can bounce. I mean, there's just a dance. There's 1,000 ways. But the doctor doesn't sit in front of you and go, have you danced? Have you moved?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've heard this thing before where there's this, you know, it's a story of this medicine man in a tribe. And a member of the tribe comes up to him and goes, I feel ill. And he goes, well, have you sang? Have you danced? Have you sat in a circle and told stories? And he's like, do one of those. And which is like, okay, it makes a lot of sense. Connection, you know, community, and you know, really, I think a lot of it is, you know, both that we're in EO and we kind of understand the value of storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. So that's what I do when I do my speaking events. I tell stories. I tell stories and give real life examples about how the early programming that was outside of my awareness ran the day. And I know you work with a lot of like driven, successful, you know, if they were packaging on a shelf, you know, they would be the most expensive item on the shelf because they add a lot of value in their world. Yeah. And what you don't see is the conditions. Yeah. Like, you know, the use of this product is deadly. Right. You know, because this person. But we've all done it. If we're in the entrepreneurial world, we've had those years of the grind. Yeah. Where we, you know, I don't know about you, but there was a period of time when I was early on in the business where, it was do or die, and it was grind, and it was working all those hours, and it was all that stress. And, and what I didn't know is that wasn't necessary for me to succeed. I didn't need to have the grind and the stress and the, all the negative aspects of what it means to be an entrepreneur. Those didn't need to be in play. Had I had breath work, had I had these tools, much different outcome.
Yeah. Well,
for me,
school doesn't prepare us for entrepreneurship. No. There is no school that really prepares you for what that is. And, and it's kind of true that we don't have to go through it that way. And there was alternatives, but no one is going to share those with you.
Right.
Because actually there's nobody really, entrepreneurs, it's not something that even entrepreneurs amongst themselves are going to talk about. They're just talking about their stress. They're talking about, what's going on with how terrible people are, or how bad their employees are, or how much stress is involved with that.
Yeah.
But they offer these other tools. So when you do, like, I know you do big events.
I do. Yeah.
And what's kind of the feedback that you get out of some of these events?
I got to tell you, I love my life. I love what I do. Like, I live in the joy all the time, because what I'm doing is not work for me anymore. This is my calling, my passion. It's where I'm supposed to be. And so when I do the keynote, it's about an hour, and then we do an hour of ecstatic breath work, which is deep. You're lying down, you've got eye masks, the music's loud, it's a curated soundtrack, and you do it. So, you're in this altered state. For me, here, I'll give you an example. I did a 2-month speaking tour, 19 EO chapters in India last year, 2 months in India. It was amazing. It was drinking from a fire hose. The place is incredible. Most populous place in the planet. Like, there's no personal space. Americans, like, you're as close as I need you to be right now, Robert. You know what I'm saying? India, there's none of that. Like, you are side by side with everybody, because that's just the way life is. So I did an event, and we had a great outside breath work. And a woman came up to me after the breathe, and she shook my hand, and she said, "That was incredible." And she started to cry. And she's probably in her mid-40s. And she said, "My dad died 2 years ago, and my mom died a month ago. And I've been holding on to them so tightly. Like, I just couldn't let go. I've been in so much grief about losing them. They came to me during the breath work, and they were smiling and happy. And they said to me, daughter, we're fine. You need to get on with your life. Wow. You can let us go." I got chills just now. Wow. And she said, I visually saw them just float away. And she said, and I haven't felt so peaceful and so happy in years. Wow. That's what happens in an hour-long breathwork session. So when I do like a 10 session, weekly 10-week protocol with folks, that's the kind of stuff that comes up. It's just, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in order to get there, it is really difficult, because that's what someone called that a spiritual experience. Some people would call it,
well, I got to tell you, it's hard for Americans. I got to tell you, I've done a number of chapters in EO in the United States, and the program is very much stronger here. Like, the matrix is very much stronger. And so, I've had people in these, and I instruct in the beginning. I say, all you need to do is breathe, but you need to do it. You need to do it. Like, if you don't breathe, you're not going to have the experience. Whatever, your choice. If you just want to lie on the mat for an hour, that's fine. But understand, if you can't commit to the breath, and plus, by the way, if you are feeling any thoughts about, hey, no, this is just complete bullshit, Well, that's just your ego keeping you in that very strong box that was created to keep you in safety. It's okay. Like, recognize that that is in play and just breathe. And I've had guys especially, you know, older guys who are just like, this is complete bullshit. And they'll just lie there and I'll watch them not breathe for a whole hour. And then at the end, they'll say, that was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
And I say, well, yeah, you kind of have to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, and they will say that breath work doesn't work. And I tell people also, sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 times because of that ego defense. Yeah. You know, think about it. The ego is a beautiful construct of the mind. It's kept us alive as a species for all our time. And all it does is create a box of known things. So when you are going to go into any sort of these practices where your ego cannot predict, looking at the past to predict the future and the now, if it can't do that, it's going to do everything it can to make you stop. Anxiety, fear, restlessness, skepticism, whatever it can do, whatever it can pop up, it will do.
Well, you know, one of the first lessons I had from my breathwork master was really wrapped around, you can't think about 2 things at once. And when you are concentrating on deep inhales and fully breathing in your belly up to your chest and like really focusing on the breath, and you continue to do that. And there's a point in which you are doing it and you're focused on it, you're doing it. And then there's this switch that will happen through the process. Yeah. You're doing it and you're suddenly not even conscious of it. And you're breathing heavy. Yeah. And I tell people, like, the breath is a volume knob. And you can take these little wussy sips of air. Yeah. And that's what life is. Yeah. Or you can start leveling up and go up these levels, and you will feel more emotion. You will feel more energy. You will feel more inspiration. You'll feel more creative juice, like all that more. And, you know, so some of the best, you know, a lot of the experiences that I'm involved with, you know, involve music. Yeah. You know, breath work and music. And there's really something that really happens when you have a guided journey, which includes some breath holds and exhales and humming. And there's lots of other modalities, but where I think I've had some just magic experiences where odd noises happen, because you're in a public space sometimes and you hear noise, and it will activate a thought. Or one time I had an event where I was listening to a Zoom and the Zoom died, and I was still breathing, and I said, you know, I'm going to keep breathing. Yeah. And I'm not going to try to reconnect. And because the music is also, it's nice to have a guide. It's like a crutch. Yeah. But then it's like, well, do I need the crutches? And it was a profound moment for me, because it's like, you know what? I don't need an audio track to breathe in a rhythm. I can do this myself. I can hold my breath myself. I can do this without grabbing my phone in the middle of the night to do some breath work to fall back asleep. Yeah. I can use these tools. And probably the most profound breath work I have ever had was losing that Zoom call. And it made me think about a major challenge I was having. And it gave me a perspective that was actually face it was so hard. Like, I'd never like busted out in tears like ever before. Like in a situation, it was a drop Zoom call, and I'm freaking having the best breath work experience. Right. And so I think it's really important for people to not go into it with a preconceived notion of what it's going to be.
That's always the hardest thing, isn't it? Because, you know, we're human beings. We want to know. We want to make meaning of things. We want to, and our egos want to try to predict. So we want to know what the experience is going to be like. But how do you explain, Robert, tell me what an orgasm is like for you?
Yeah. In describing that. Yeah.
Try to describe it. Or if you've never had one, me trying to describe to you what it is, right? I use that example a lot because, I mean, that's one of those experiences in life where your conscious mind shuts off and you are having the experience in the moment, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that truly is what a powerful breath work, especially when you're talking 30 plus minutes. I mean, I used to do 3-hour exercises and you go to a whole other dimension. You go into a world where, to try to sit down with someone and try to articulate what you had, you're like, I just don't have the ability to tell you.
I can't tell you. Every breath work session that I've ever done has been amazing in and of itself. It's always been a gem or a gift. Some of it I've done without music, to your point, without the Zoom. Some of the breath work that I just had a 3-hour session this past weekend is part of, this ongoing experience that I have with my mentor that I've studied with for a number of years. And the breath work on Saturday was no music. It was 45, 50 minutes of breathing, and he was cueing according to what the theme was for our particular training that day. And that was as powerful as any other. But man, I got to tell you, these ecstatic breathwork sessions with the pumping music and the different tracks and the beats. I mean, it just, music, vibration, it's medicine too. So you get the combination of both those, right? For me, breathwork's just active meditation. Yeah. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like you say, you can't think of two things at one time. When you're just breathing, that's where your conscious focus is. And that's when, the monkey gets out of the cage.
I know.
and then it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think one idea that just came to my head is like, how do you get breath work? It's something I think about all the time. Like, how do you get it into companies?
Dude, so we're both in that, and this is beautiful. And that's why, it's so amazing for us to have this time together where we can co-create and strategize and think these things through. We're both in the same place. How do we get this to be something that corporations use regularly? For me, my first thought, my first demographic, my first people are nurses. It's the largest segment of the healthcare delivery community, right? 3+ million, 4 million in the United States. And they're all in a very high stress situation, dealing many times with life or death, right? Having them be able to do, and I'm putting programming together for this, is you have programming for the corporate world. We know the magic that would happen if before there was a handoff meeting, a change of shifts, in that meeting, if they just did a 2-minute breath work, a 3-minute breath work, they just did that and then had their handoff, the people who were going off shift would let go of all the stress and shit that they wouldn't bring it home with them. And the people who were coming on would let go of all the stuff they brought from home, and they'd be in the moment.
Right. Imagine before
everything.
Before a surgery.
Oh,
I mean, you just think about like a shift in a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching this show called The Bear. It's on Hulu, and it's about this chef who's this amazing chef, and he's
I saw the trailers for that.
I mean, it's the most stressful show you will ever watch. But it really shows the life of the demands of a high-end restaurant, what it's like to, run the show of a restaurant. But what I think is most interesting about, getting into flow with a group of people, you can do it a sports team, getting into flow before a game and getting everyone on this right synchronistic brainwave to be in a line. I mean,
well, they use that in the military, right?
Of
SEAL
course.
teams, recon teams, they use breath work and these modalities as they're about to deploy into a situation. They use this to enhance their clarity of the situation in that moment. Like they use breath work to just take all of the extraneous bullshit away, and they're in this moment.
Right.
Yeah. Powerful. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So how do we get it in?
Well,
how do we do that?
I mean, I think if we're going to spitball a couple of ideas, I have often thought it's an experience. It's starting with the leaders at the top. I mean, I'm an EOS implementer. I talk about breath work for leadership teams a lot, but I don't get a lot of takers.
No.
And sometimes I'll kind of, after a lunch or something at a leadership team, and I'm watching the body language of being tired and, their body's trying to digest a big meal they had. I got to do a leadership session. So I'll get them to move around a bit, and I'll do some 20 connected breaths, which is like,
I use 20 breath all the time.
I can do 3 or 4 rounds of that.
Yep.
And they say, how do you guys feel? I feel energized. Yeah. Okay. We just put energy in the body. Now, if we did this other modality for about 10 minutes, we're going to start to really collaborate. You're going to start having some real creative thoughts. And if we extend it, we're going to have more. But when you think about a group of people trying to solve a problem, you could either spend 30 minutes trying to solve the problem, or you could spend about 20 minutes to like really get, and then reduce that time to a few minutes. Because if you're not really ready to think about some creative solution, then you're not you can't be in scarcity and think of a new idea, because you're going to have
access to it.
Yeah. You're going to think of a small idea, or like a small fix, or duct tape. Because I tell everyone too, like, your energy level that you have in your body is a direct proportionate to your ability to solve big problems. And if you don't have any energy, you are going to shortchange the situation, or put it off, or not do it at all, or like literally it's just whatever. Okay, do whatever. I don't want to think about it. It's kind of like how I used to feel when I'd come home from work when I was running my business, and I was so exhausted. And I'd come home, and the wife would go, "What do you want to have for dinner?" I was like, "I don't know. I can't decide. I don't want to decide. I just want food in my belly. That's all I want. Whatever. I don't want to think about it.
Whatever it is." Yeah.
But spent, exhausted.
Yeah.
I like your idea going to nurses, because there's something about a good nurse that is just like, when you have the right nurse that has the compassion and empathy. Yeah. And I can just imagine a nurse in my face. I'm laying on a bed,
you're at your worst.
And she's like, "Okay, take a deep breath in." Yeah. And I could see that really starting to work with people. And
for me in the acute care psych area, I mean, every one of those patients would benefit from just a 1-minute breath work. Yeah. Just a moment for a pause to be able to just take a breath, because they're in the worst place that they could ever be. Right. Yeah. Right, I mean, they're in that spot. Yeah. And if the nursing staff are using breath work, they're gonna say something.
Now, in those kind of spaces, I mean, when you see people that are in their absolute worst, and they're suddenly put in an environment with other people at their worst. Yeah. What is that like for people? What do you see gets people out of the?
It's not an optimal solution. Believe me, it's not really, because you've got such a disparate population of people all mixed together with different diagnoses, and they're in crisis, and it's just difficult to be in all bunched together in a community setting like that. Honestly, acute care psychiatry is about just stabilization and getting people out
of their normal environment. Is that what?
It's like, to get them to they arrive there. Our job in the acute care psychiatry space is to stabilize them using medication, to get them to a stable state where they're better than they were when they came in, and then get them somewhere else into a program where they can get the help that they need. Yeah. It's kind of just a Band-Aid approach, and it's not optimal for sure.
Well, I remember my father-in-law had, he got really depressed after retiring.
Happens.
And he just scraping the bottom of the barrel of life.
It's an identity crisis. Who are you when you're not that?
Yeah. And
right?
The family chose to admit him to Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And the very first meeting, that it was like the day he arrives, and that evening he goes to this circle of people in the, telling their story.
Yeah.
And he sees a man with an arm missing. And this man had chopped off his own arm. And he's watching this guy talk about cutting his arm off. And that was the moment he realized he was okay.
Yeah.
And it completely shifted him.
Yeah.
Like he saw this.
That can happen.
He saw this other world that could exist.
Yeah.
And he was like instantaneous.
Yeah.
He was healed. That guy losing his arm healed this other person. It was wild.
We say we are the medicine. Yeah. That was a moment where that guy was medicine for your father-in-law, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was a view into a life that he had no experience with or knowledge of. Yeah. And then here's this guy who chopped his own arm off.
Well, it really goes to say why, when you are doing these deep breathwork experiences, usually at the end, there's an opportunity to integrate or have someone tell kind of what showed up for them. And often that involves some tears and storytelling.
Yeah.
And what's really magic about the storytelling aspect is when you are vulnerable, there's something that happens. I don't know what it is. I just feel like there's some kind of frequency that humans do when they're tapping into their own emotions that's expressed. And sometimes it's expressed as tears. I think it's also expressed from the receiver listening. It's almost like, there's some tasty tidbits about to come out. Whether it's maybe it's something that would normally not be talked about.
Right.
Maybe
but remember, we've been breathing together in synchronicity for a period of time.
Yeah.
Like when you come back to that integrative moment, well, shit, you're in coherence with everybody else in a big way. Vulnerability isn't so scary at that point. Yeah.
And you lean in and you're like all ears. Like instead of being tempted to be on your phone or whatever. I mean, it's not a normal story. Like you're someone that's has a little choked up kind of thing happening. Yeah. And you're listening to it. And something I have noticed that the whole time I'm listening to someone's story, I'm automatically like, okay, where in my life am I just like them? It's just something that's always in my mind. And it is shape shifting of past stories. Yeah. And it gives you like a blueprint to almost like take the story apart from my past, even though it's not my story, right? Yeah. It's your story, right? Yeah. But I'm now like, all right, it takes the puzzle pieces to the story and puts them on the table. And then now this person is helping recreate what is that story? Because now it's new. Yeah. Now it's different because now I see a different perspective because, I wasn't ready for that different perspective.
You just had no access to it. And then all of a sudden you are in a space of hearing this other story and there it is.
It's funny. We're talking about these little wild stories, but the first time we met at this really cool YPO event in Colorado. Yeah. And
cool.
I was helping out in the event. And when I started the event, there was enough seats at the dinner table with everyone.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, someone that said they couldn't come, I had gotten their seat, but they showed up.
Whoa.
And what was wild about it, like I was in the club, but because I was helping in the experience. So I was kind of like, not that I was kind of a volunteer, kind of being paid to be there.
Yeah.
But suddenly, a paid participant was there.
Yeah.
So I got booted, right?
Of course you did.
And so I'm getting booted out of the space. And then suddenly I was really connecting with a bunch of people on my table, and I had made a connection, and all of a sudden I was booted. And I was put in this other room, like away from everyone.
Oh. Was
singled out.
Was that the couch room?
Yeah.
Where we met?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know you were banished, dude.
I was totally banished.
Hanging with a banished man.
And it was...
That's beautiful.
It was actually really beautiful because when I was closing my company down, a guy that was really important to me in my company had decided to quit, like maybe a month before we actually sold the business.
Yeah.
And I suddenly felt like he felt when he was out. And all of a sudden I got a taste of the medicine that he got back then. It was very humbling to feel like, it's not often we get removed from a community. And that was a small dose.
Yeah.
It was like community for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I'm out of the community. But can you imagine being in a community for 7 years?
Yeah.
And then you're out.
Yeah. Which is what your father-in-law experienced, which made him nosedive. It's what I experienced when I sold my business. All of a sudden, I'm not the CEO and the company's going on. And my brother, who was my partner, is now leading it. After 30 years of hard effort, I'm out.
Yeah.
And who am I? Who am I now?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much of our identity is wrapped up in our activity that we do on a daily basis at work, or the title, the whatever we have on our business card. Or I was at an event one time, and the host, as we all walked in, the host ran up to me and he goes, "Okay, we have a rule. You can't say what you do." And then you're suddenly talking to someone. I was like, oh, that was my default.
Right.
We all do that. We just like, and how hard it was to connect with someone without that being the almost social lubricant to actually connect with someone. Is like, we all talk about, because we can all find some way to connect with their or work, but you eliminate that. Then what's the second one? Maybe it's sports, maybe it's hobbies, maybe it's kids, it's like, because we're all seeking to find some connection point where you and I can actually figure out how we connect.
Right.
Because that's the first thing we always do is like, how do we connect? Okay, let's just figure this out together.
Yeah.
Which makes me think, like, it makes me wonder, like, why don't we just sit down, but when you meet someone, go, all right, we're going to find some commonality between us. Let's figure this out together.
Yeah. Yeah.
What part of town are you in? It's like you just go over the list and I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. It's beautiful. For me, it's like that identification with the role was the level of consciousness that I was at that moment, right? So that, most traditions have this idea of levels of consciousness. And as you flow up into the higher levels of consciousness, you don't identify as like, I'm an American, or I'm a male, or I'm a CEO. Like, you lose the identification with those and you become more of, I'm just part of this whole thing. Like, I'm part of the whole game. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think breathwork has helped to facilitate that for me, for sure, where I have less of an identification to those things. Like, I was a flag waving redneck, proud to be early on in my life, like Marines at 17, gun in the gun rack in the back of the pickup truck, the hunting dog. Like, that was me. So I've been through that, and now it's like, yeah, that was me at that moment. It's not me now. Now, the more my feeling is, this is great. This is going to be crazy. I think that, heaven and hell are right here, right now, right? They're not off somewhere else, not where we're going to go. We're here right now. Which one do you want to choose? So if I'm going to choose heaven on earth, I need to let go of all of those identifications, because that's where the separation comes from.
Yeah.
Right? You can think of all the examples. I'm this and you're not. Right? When you start to let go of all the identification with those, and breath work helps to loosen all that up, to get you, to breathe more life into your life. When you get to this point where it's like, okay, yeah, I don't have to be that. Be whatever I want.
What would you like to be?
I'm it. Like I'm me, dude. I love being me.
Wait,
it's like we talked about earlier, man. We talked about, I was at the Global Leadership Conference in Hawaii earlier this year for EO. And Deepak Chopra was one of the people. He's being interviewed on stage. And, I'm a huge fan. And his brother and I actually worked on a project together. His brother Sanjeev is an amazing doc. Was a Harvard Associate Dean, just an amazing guy. So Deepak has been in my world for a very long time. Love the guy. He was asked the question, what is the true measure of success? And this is an entrepreneurial global leadership conference, right? Everybody who's focused on building businesses to be profitable and successful. And he turned, and I swear to God, he looked right at me and he said, the true measure of success is joy. And I said, brother, that's it. So yeah, I'm me in a joyful, amazing life. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So Mark, how would people find about you?
Oh, well, yeah, that is good. LinkedIn's a good spot. A year ago, I let go of a lot of social media. I know that's where my people are. It's where I need to be, but I was at a point in my journey where I needed to let that go for a while. Yeah. So I'm going to be back on these platforms, but Instagram, the official Nurse Mark, LinkedIn, Mark Worcester, you can find me there. And all my contact info is there. Website, nurse-mark.com. So yeah, reach out. I'm always willing to have a conversation.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.